I literally just was halfway into making the video and I realized that it wasn't even recording. Today is finally the day that I'm doing the real estate Q&A, answering all your questions, well, at least those of you who asked. Now, the real estate world is literally like a whole nother realm. You literally never stop learning. I've been studying this for years and I do not know everything. The reason why you're always learning is because the law is directly involved with this. There's always updates happening. That being said, you shouldn't be afraid to ask questions because we always need to be asking questions. Also, there's no such thing as dumb questions. You know why? Because the reason you don't know it is that no one else told you. No one ever told you. Of course, you're not going to know. You're not going to be born just knowing things. So don't be afraid to ask a question that you feel like is a dumb question. So for this video, I have 5 questions and I'm going to throw in a few bonus questions. And this is more catering towards our generations because we weren't necessarily taught financing and real estate and all these things that we do need to know as adults. So now's the time. Welcome. I'm going to list off the first 5 questions and then I'm going to start answering them. So question number 1, what is the first step I should take in buying or selling a home? Number 2, what does the home buying process look like step by step? Number 3, why is NAR getting sued and how will that affect your business? Number 4, what does my credit score need to be to buy a house? Number 5, do you actually need a real estate agent? That one's a little spicy. Beginning with question number 1, what is the first step I should take in buying or selling a home? Most people's idea of that is hop on Zillow, start looking up homes, dream about the $1 million homes, and then contact a realtor to get you to look at the home. Definitely not the way you want to go. And also now with different legalities, you're not allowed to do that any longer. You can't look at a house anymore without being under a agency agreement, which is helpful because that's not wasting my time and it's not wasting your time. First step you want to take with buying or selling a home is getting a realtor and getting a lender. The order of that doesn't really matter. If you have a realtor that you know, but you don't know of a good lender, they can suggest you a few lenders. Obviously, they cannot steer you into choosing a specific lender, so they have to mention top 3. Same thing goes for the other side. Now, obviously, that implies that you're getting a loan. If you're going to be needing a lender, it's because you're getting a mortgage. That's why I'm mentioning it as if that's just what you need to do, because the average first-time home buyer doesn't really have like 500 grand sitting on an offshore account, you know? Anyway. Once you have those two, they function together like a synergy. They both depend on each other. I'm just going to put the meaning of that word here if you don't know what it means. Now, what kind of loan you're going to be needing, that's what you're going to be discussing with your lender and your realtor. Answering that question goes right along with the second question, what does the home buying process look like step by step? I've actually prepared a home buying timeline, and to simplify it, I've made it 7 steps. First step is choosing, second step, budgeting, third, searching, 4th, negotiating, 5th, examining, 6th, preparing, and 7th, finalizing. We already discussed step number 1. Moving on to step number 2. Before getting a loan, the reason you need to talk to your lender is to get something that's called a pre-approval. A pre-approval is different than a pre-qualification. I'm not going to explain that because that's more on the lending side of things. But right now, what you need is a pre-approval, okay? Pre-approval is what the lender is going to use to say, hey, John Doe is approved to buy a home that costs, 300 grand. Just an average first-time home buyer number. The reason that budgeting is important is because it's not just, okay, well, here's a loan and now go find a house that's like the same amount. If you qualify for 300 grand, you don't necessarily want to get a house that's 300 grand because there's a lot that goes into budgeting. You have the down payment. I'll explain that in a bit. You have inspection costs, you have closing costs, you have earnest money. There's all these other factors that go into buying a home, upfront money that you need to know, and some of it is dependent on the value of the home, the amount you are getting it for. As we're discussing loans, now we're getting into the financial world and understanding interest rate. If you already understand what interest rate is, you can skip ahead. But for those of you who don't understand what interest rates are and why everyone's been talking about them, let me break it down. Let's just say you need to borrow $100. Okay, so you come to me like, hey, I really need $100. I'll pay you back. I need it right now. That's $100. I'm not just going to give it to you and be like, are they going to pay me back? when are they going to pay me back? To make it easier for you to pay me back, how about let's break down the $100 payments into $10 payments, okay? And so we'll do $10 payments every month for 10 months, right? Because 10 months of giving $10 would be $100. It's still not completely fair for me because, like, what do I get out of this? So let's just say we're going to do a 1% interest rate. Let's do 1% of 100, and that is $1. So what that means is, besides the $10 that you're paying every month, you're going to add the 1% interest rate, which is $1 on top of that. So you're going to be paying me $11 every month. So by the end, I didn't just get my $100 back, I got $10 on top of that. So I made a little bit of money. So for me, it was worth it. That's especially true when it comes to larger sums of money. If someone's going to be lending like hundreds of thousands of dollars, obviously they need to get something out of it. And that is why the people are freaking out that interest rates are now at 8%, because that is 8% of the loan amount that they're paying every month for 30 years or 15 years or however long your mortgage is. Given they don't really understand that 8% is like the average that has been going out through history, like it's always been an average of 8%, and actually having it super low, having interest rates like at 3% or 2%, that's actually damaging the economy. I will explain that on a completely different video. If you don't understand that right now, that's okay. I do want to pause and mention this. If you're not understanding what I'm saying in this video, like if you don't understand nothing of what I answered by the end of this video, do not feel bad, okay? We all have different learning styles. Also, repetition is like the queen of all learning. This video isn't going to make you a mastermind of real estate. It's just kind of like, you know, get you ready to dip your foot into the water. Now, going back to budgeting, I mentioned things like earnest money, down payment, inspection costs. Earnest money is just, it's showing the seller how much you really want to get in the home. Back to my borrowing money example of $100. If I'm going to give you $100 at the start of next month, but you want to buy the new Apple Pencil. Let's just say you want to buy a new Apple Pencil from your friend over there. You're telling that friend, hey, I'm going to have the $100 by next month. And the friend's like, well, dude, like, why should I even wait on you? Like, I could literally sell it to someone else. I'm like, hold on. Let me give you some earnest money so you can see that I'm serious about buying the Apple Pencil from you. That way, when I get my $100, we're good. Let's just say you give him $5. I'm like, hold my place, showing that like, hey, you're serious about this. Earnest money is typically held by the closing agent, and that's also like, it lowers your down payment costs. About the down payment now. Down payment is essentially if you are getting a home for $300,000, but you do not want to get a loan for $300,000. And let's just say you have money just sitting in your account. That's when you can put down a certain amount for the home. Let's just say you want to go with a 20% down payment. 20% of 300,000, 60 grand. 60 grand is your cash coming out of your pocket up front that you put down. 300 grand minus 60 grand. That's going to be your loan amount because some of your money has already paid the house. The rest of the money will be borrowed. The reason why this is suggested is because now you immediately have 60 grand in equity. 60 grand is already yours. Like, you own that. It's not borrowed money. 60 grand that you put into that home, that's your equity. Now, you don't always need to put 20% down payment. It really depends on the type of loan you're getting, and there's a lot of different kinds of loans. This right here is a homebuyer packet that one of the lenders I work with put together. These 2 pages list different kinds of loans. Yeah, that is exactly why you need a realtor and a lender. Typically, people go for conventional, but then there's also the standard ones are FHA, VA, USDA. USDA is rural, I can't talk. FHA, that's like a 3.5% down payment. But if you can't even afford that, you still have the down payment assistance program, which can help you actually bring zero money from your own money to the table for the down payment. Like, it'll cover for you. Obviously, later on, it'll get added on. Like, they're going to make their money somehow. But the point is, if you just want to get in, they're going to help you do that. Okay? There's ways to just get you into the process and have you build money while you sleep. Like, as the home appreciates in value, like, literally, you're gaining equity just from what? Paying it off and sleeping. It's great. Then there's the specialty government programs. Then there's different options to help with the loans. like temporary buy downs and down payment assistance and delayed financing, buy now, sell it. There's tons of them. There's renovation loans, there's new construction loans, there's non-traditional ones. There's a lot. Now, on top of that, you're going to have inspection costs. You need to inspect, well, it's optional, but it's better if you inspect the home, okay? Let's just say this is $400. Typically, that's what it runs here. Your area might be different. You're also depending on what inspectors you use, that could change the price. But that's just the typical inspection. If you want to do a sewer scope, like inspecting the sewer, that's additional. If you want to inspect the property lines, if you're getting acreage, that's important to see if there's any kind of encroachments, which means like other people's property encroaching on your property. Like that's going to be a legal case. There's a lot that goes in. That's why you need to budget, and you're not just going to be paying your mortgage. You're going to be paying, obviously the mortgage is broken down into the principal and the interest, right? Back to the example, the $10 and the $1. The $10 is the principal, the $1 is the interest. So your principal and interest, but on top of that, you're going to need to pay maybe HOA. Maybe the house you want has HOA, the homeowners association. Maybe not. Okay, so that eliminates that. But then you still need a homeowner's insurance. Whether you have HOA or not, you're going to need homeowner's insurance. That's why you need to budget. And your lender should provide you with a budgeting sheet of all the costs, so that way you can know, okay, can we actually afford to buy this home? That was a lot. Moving on to the next one, searching. Now you can start searching for a property. Now you can pull up Trulia, Redfin, Zillow, whatever search engine you want to use, which all of those still gather information from one source, right? The MLS, multiple listing services, that's what all the realtors use, only accessed by realtors to put information out to all those websites that are accessed by you guys. So you're going to find the same information probably everywhere. Once you finally choose a home, now you can negotiate. And when your realtor is going to be like, hey, this is what we can do, this is probably what we can offer them. Let's see if maybe the seller can pay for your closing costs if you can't afford that, because typically they're like 10 grand if you're getting a home for like 200 to 300. It varies. And there's a lot that goes into closing costs, like the title stuff and the lending stuff. And I'm not going to explain all of that because, again, we're just trying to know bare minimum, like the foundation of this, so then we can know those things later. You might be wondering, okay, but what if I'm still feeling 50-50 on the home? What if I'm not sure I completely 100% want the home? That's fine. Still write up the contract, still get the offer in, because you know why? The contract is not, okay, now you're 100% committed to buying a home, you need to buy it, you can't back out. No, you can still back out. The contract is written up specifically for you as a buyer to have back doors in case this home is not right for you. Inspection addendum, right? You have the inspection contingency. You have however many days that your agent puts in the contract to do the inspection and figure out, do we want to back out or not? After that time period, now you can no longer back out because of the inspection. But there could be maybe another back door. There's so many back doors that your realtor will help you understand. Once that contract is written up and offered, have mutual acceptance, now is when the examining process comes in, your due diligence period, right? You have the inspection, you have reviewing documents to look at all the title documents, the previous title documents, to see if you agree with how that home is on title. If you don't understand that, talk to your realtor. They can explain all that to you. Then after that is step number 6. Now you are in escrow. Now you're like past 15 days, because typically it's a 30-day closing. You can make the closing extend longer. You can be under contract for 90 days if you want to. Just got to have that in the contract. Okay, if you want a slow process, you could put that in there. Now, of course, if you do a 90-day closing, the seller's going to look at that and be like, really? I don't want to take 90 days. But that's why your realtor is important, because they know how to negotiate correctly. But during step number 6, you are preparing for the closing date. You can even do your final walkthroughs. You can start changing your address. Like, you're literally almost there. You're in escrow. Step number 7, the finalizing of everything. Okay, the underwriting is being done or almost done, and all the title like the title side of things is dealing with putting it on title, making sure that everything is completely finalized. Finally, once everything is recorded, only after recording is when you can finally receive the keys to your new property. And now it's moving day. That is the timeline of home buying. Question number 3. I'm going to try to keep this short. Why is NAR getting sued and how will that affect your business? So a lot of people have been interested in what's going on with the NAR. And I'm actually going to make a whole nother video on that because there's a lot of misinformation out there from people from major news sources or whatever. Like, everyone has a different opinion and they're all saying it as if it's just truth. The truth is nothing is determined yet because they have not settled. Now, what I can say is this. I'm under Realty One Group. My brokerage is Realty One Group. They have a transaction volume from 2022 lower than 2 billion. So that means we're covered. Now, that doesn't mean that the National Association of Realtors, which is NAR, it doesn't mean they lost. They actually didn't lose. They agreed to settle because this literally was getting nowhere because there wasn't really something legitimately wrong that was done. It was just certain other people that might not even have been under NAR. We don't actually know all the ins and outs of things. I have heard 2 different real estate lawyers explain. We're all still kind of waiting on the final ins and outs of the case to be given out to the public. The beginning of how this really started is still kind of convoluted, even with the different sites on here. Again, there's a whole nother video on that. So if you are interested in that, go watch it. Question number 4. What does my credit score need to be to buy a house? As you've already been kind of catching on, buying a home is quite different than buying a car. Now, the good news is there isn't like a predetermined, this is exactly what credit score you need necessarily, because it depends on the loan you're getting, and depending on how high or low your credit score is, it affects how much interest you may have to pay. Your monthly mortgage calculations, it's dependent on your debt to income ratio, it's dependent on credit score. All these factors go into predetermining what is it that you are approved to buy. Back to the notebook. This is kind of outdated. It's 2023. Different loan types, the standard ones, and the minimum amount of credit needed for those. Conventional, 620. FHA, 580. USDA, 580. VA, 580. Jumbo, that is a term, 620. Portfolio, 620. Construction, 720. Renovation, 720. And for DSCR investor, 620. That's just kind of like the main ones that they're listing. This is this company specifically that is listing all the stuff. It could be different for your state. It could be different depending on what lending company you're going with. If you don't know how to get a good credit score, I can also do a video on that. Just one tip to please don't do this mistake. A lot of people have done it. Don't shut down any credit accounts. If you've already opened some credit accounts, do not shut down an account thinking, I'll have no more debt and then my credit score will go up. No, it will go down. Please do not shut down any accounts, including checking because of the timeline, like how long you've had it. Just stop using it. You don't need to shut it down. That's all you need to know just for the sake of this video. Now, the last question, probably the most dense question out of all of these is, do you actually need a real estate agent? I guess now that I've answered the first few questions, you can kind of think for yourself, would you be able to do this without a real estate agent? A realtor is not someone who just goes and opens doors for people and looks pretty. I understand that there's some states where that might be sort of kind of true. In Washington state, it is absolutely not. The amount of work we have to do, the amount of information we need to know, there is so much that goes into my job, and I will have also a separate video on this because I guess it is a common misconception. Just because people do have this idea that realtors make quick and easy money, it's not quick and easy money, okay? I've been in the industry, how many years? It's taken me a while. I started a not so good year, and all of you guys who do know me personally and have seen every time that there's a group project, how I just take control and like I'll literally go the extra mile, 3 extra miles. Like I do all this work. Imagine that, but in my career, and I still haven't really like, obviously people have not been wanting to buy or sell for the past year. The fact that me, someone who works really hard and does everything, has not been able to yet complete something, that tells you how difficult the industry is. It's not something where just leads just fall on you out of nowhere and boom, you start. Becoming an agent is actually a lot of hard work. And I know how absolutely vital we are in completing a transaction. Now, needless to say, if you're just doing a friend-to-friend deal, maybe you don't need a realtor. Now, if you're buying a home from who knows who this person is, and they don't want to communicate with you because you're wanting this, but then they want this, and things get really, really messy. There's so much terrible stuff that happens within real estate. we're constantly the one getting stressed. Like, we're here to alleviate your stress, to make sure everything goes smooth, because we're the ones who have to contact the lender. We're the ones who have to contact the title side of things. We're the ones who have to contact lawyers sometimes to make sure all these things go as smoothly as possible without you getting stressed out, because it is a lot that goes into this. So many legalities, so much negotiating, so much backbiting and who knows what from the selling side or maybe the buying side. So the answer to the question isn't really a yes or no. If you want to try doing this on your own, I'll send up a prayer for you. It's a lot, but you're welcome to. It's just, is it worth it? I don't think so. And even if it is just a friend-to-friend deal, you can probably end up losing the friendship. You know, business and friendship, everyone says, don't mix those two together. That's why it's good to have someone acting on your behalf who knows the ins and outs of everything, and someone on their behalf. Now, those two people communicate and say, hey, my people, they need this. They will maintain a professional level. Again, I will be making a whole separate video. So if you are curious to know that as well, go watch the other video too. Okay, now it's time for the last two bonus questions. First one is, what's the best time of year to look for a home or put a house up for sale? So the time of year is actually kind of mostly dependent on how the market is currently going. The market is dependent on the economy. All these things, again, work kind of like a synergy. They all kind of connect. If we're in a typical market, we see that summers are more busy with sales going on. People are actually buying. And then winters are a little bit more dead. So in the real estate market, there's things called a buyer's market and a seller's market. Seller's market means that there's a lot of buyers, and so it's a really great time to sell. Online it says, an economic situation in which goods are scarce and sellers can keep prices high. So a buyer's market means that there's a lot of homes for sale. Now it's a good time for buyers to buy, which online says an economic situation in which the goods or shares are plentiful and buyers can keep prices down. So when it's a buyer's market, that means there's a lot of homes for sale, not enough buyers per homes. There's not enough people buying, there's not enough competition. That's the time you want to buy a house. For example, now that the interest rates are high. Well, now people are starting to get used to it. But right when it started, where everybody's like freaking out, we're never going to be able to buy a house. That's when you want to buy a house. You know why? There's not going to be competition. So you're going to get a lower price because sellers are desperate. Like, come on, please, someone just buy my house already. No one's buying. Please, I'll keep my price low. Okay, you get it on a deal. Sure, it's a high interest rate, but guess what? You can refinance later. Or you could buy a mortgage buy down, which is also known as a temporary buy down, or a discount point. They're all the same thing. Okay, those three, it's all the same thing. And so it makes your interest rate lower for the first year, and then the next year a little bit higher, and then the next year. It really helps a lot. You can never actually change your price, but you can always change your interest rate. That's why it's suggested to buy when there's not that many buyers in the market. To sell, it's the opposite. You want to sell when there's a lot of buyers in the market and there's not enough homes for sale. You're going to get a lot of money for that home. So many people are going to be trampling each other over to try to get your home first. Then there's going to be so many offers and like overbidding way above asking price. Great for the sellers. With a stable market, you see this as in like winter, there's not that many buyers. You don't see really that many open houses being done unless you live in California or somewhere hot. Typically, you do see buyers in the market during the summer, again, during a normal market. Last bonus question is it better to buy a move-in ready home or a fixer-upper? So it's dependent on your opinion, what you feel like is best for you. No, really, it is. I would say financially, probably a fixer-upper. If it's something that's just like cosmetic things, they won't cost as much, and you have to know on what to invest. There's a video on my Instagram about that. You're welcome to check it out. You end up getting more money. It's not only building equity. Now, a move-in ready home, that's good for you if you do not want to be putting a ton of time and money into fixing up a home, especially if this is going to be your first home. You don't want to like move into the house and sleep on the floor for a while with like the walls kind of like, if you don't want to live in a home where you're just staring at everything and it's giving you anxiety because there's so many to-dos, then maybe a move-in ready one is best for you. It really just depends on you and your personality, just how you live. All right, I hope this video was helpful, and if I didn't explain it well enough, if I didn't break it down enough, you can message me. Like, everyone has my contact information. It's all over the internet. I'm here to make sure that you understand this new world that you're about to get into. I also want to thank you guys for supporting me and this brand new channel, and thank you so much for all the questions that you guys asked. They were really great questions. Make sure you also check the description down below. I'll be linking anything I can that is helpful to you.